a general assignment reporter job at WGAL in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. She came to WABC after spending several years at WB17 in Philadelphia, where she was reported from weekend anchor medical reporter to the weekday anchor woman. Today, Toni has 3 children, Austin, Alexis, and Gabriel. She lives in New Jersey and is a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. Through most of her career, Toni has been involved with the Girl Scouts. We all remember the Girl Scouts and those cookies, right? Toni Yates is Eyewitness News New Jersey reporter, usually seen at noon, 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. Most recently, she reported on the Jersey City cops and firefighters ending on the wrong side of the law and its effects it has had on the department's public trust. Toni regularly fills in as co-anchor for Eyewitness News on Saturday, which I saw her this morning as I was getting dressed, and Sunday mornings, either filling in for another great person there, Michelle Charlesworth. It is my pleasure to bring on another Friends for Life, Miss Toni Yates.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning, but I enjoy what I do. Thank you so much for coming. Personally, I want to applaud everyone who had anything to do with this benefit, because you are a blessing to the young men and women who will benefit from the money that is raised today, especially you, Sister Elva, who this is the first time we met, but we've been social media friends for so long, for so many years. I feel like we've known each other, and I feel like we're family. So thank you very much. And then I ceremoniously bow to everyone who came today, who answered this call, because this cannot be done without you. Not all schools are the same, and certainly we know not all communities have the same dedication. But let me tell you, I have seen firsthand how when a religious community is dedicated to making a difference, hardly anything can stop it from doing the job that it wants to do. I am a product of a Catholic school education, so that makes me a Catholic schoolgirl, and I feel like I've been a Catholic schoolgirl from the day I was born. First it was St. Pius, and then I went to Holy Rosary, and then I went to Bishop Kenny High School. This is all Jacksonville, Florida. And my parents worked hard to put my brother and me through those private schools. And of course, starting each day, Monday through Friday, before we started class, we all went to Mass. And I'm sure that kept me and my brother and a lot of our friends out of a whole lot of trouble during the day. But there was one point growing up, I think it was 2 months, that I didn't go to Catholic school. And that was when my parents moved to a new neighborhood, and everybody was talking about how good the neighborhood school was. And so my parents said, okay, let's give it a try. As I said, that lasted for 2 months, because my mother says to this day, my brother and I lost our minds. And so we were back at Holy Rosary. That's certainly not to say that public schools do not do a good job. My daughters, Austin and Alexis, went to public school in South Jersey, and my older daughter now is a radio DJ in State College, Pennsylvania. My younger daughter, Alexis, graduated with honors from high school, and then she got a full scholarship to the University of Richmond, and then after that, she got a full scholarship to law school at Temple University. And my son now is in public school in central New Jersey, along with my stepchildren. I call them my bonus son and my bonus daughter, and they certainly are thriving. But back to my own schooling. Our high school, Bishop Kenny, was all the way across town. And in predominantly African-American neighborhoods, every morning, Monday through Friday, there were loads of African American kids getting up and walking to the city bus stops to catch the city buses to go across town, which was about 40 to 45 minutes ride to get to Bishop Kenny. Some of those families were grandparents who were on fixed incomes, who were raising their grandchildren. Some of them were single mothers, some of them were single fathers, and some of them were families of 6 and 7 children. And private school, as we know, comes with tuition. And just like my neighborhood school, other public schools didn't quite live up to the moral base that a lot of my friends' parents wanted for their kids. So someone, somewhere, in some way, felt that a lot of those parents' dedication needed some support. So that person, that one person, decided to be a boost for a lot of those families. That person remains anonymous to this day, but he or she quietly, every single month for years, paid the tuition of several dozen African American kids who were going off to Bishop Kenny High School. And when I say several dozen, I don't mean 2 dozen or 3 dozen, I mean several dozen every single month. I've heard some of my friends talking about how their parents no longer had the expense to face as their kids continued their Catholic school guidance and education. And many of those parents gave that benefactor an immediate return on his investment because they made sure that their kids studied every day. They made sure that they had good grades. They made sure that they were committed to their education. We were taught leadership, we were taught faith and tenacity, so much so that actually, when I went off to Bishop Kenny High School as a freshman, that school had never had an African American cheerleader. And I said, I'm trying out. My best friend who went to St. Pius said, well, I'm trying out too. And I remember the day of tryouts. It seemed like the entire school was in the gym because they wanted to see if these little black girls were going to make the cheerleading squad. And I remember Maria Rulak was the first one to be selected for the cheerleading squad. And I remember sitting on the bench and the whole gym just erupted. I mean, this is a sea of diversity, and they just erupted because they were so glad. And I remember sitting there saying, well, at least one of us made it. And then 2 or 3 cheerleaders later, they announced my number, and I made it too. So that was a very good feeling. Well, today, the Catholic schools of my youth that are located in more struggling communities have an incredible support network from very, very loyal alumni. They have helped sustain 2 of those schools through an organization that we call the Guardian Schools. And they combined, as I just heard you guys announce, they now combined Holy Rosary and St. Pius so that they could continue to thrive and serve the neighborhoods they've served for decades. Well, that anonymous donor from long ago made an incredible impact on a lot of our students, but one in particular. She never forgot the public service that person had given to so many students over so many years. And that deed gave so much that it changed her life and guided her. So remember, I guess it was like maybe in the late 1990s, the early 2000s, when Martha Stewart first took her company public. It was like huge headlines all over the place, and it was this big deal that everybody was talking about. Some very smart people with some very savvy business sense had to broker that deal, and one of the people who received tuition from that anonymous donor was one of the chief deal makers in that move. She now sits on the boards of Walmart, St. Vincent's Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida. She sits on the board of Harvard University. She has a couple of gospel albums out. She's been on Wall Street for decades, and she was also an advisor to President Barack Obama. My former classmate, Her name is Carla Harris, and she graduated from Harvard University. And she has helped thousands of people in the private sector in wealth management for Morgan Stanley. But the most important thing that she does, she pays the tuition for students who want to attend Catholic school in Jacksonville, Florida, at the schools that we attended. She has given so much money back, and she gives her time back to the students, and she goes all over the world talking to students about success. That a new performing arts center at our high school was named in her honor. Her name is Carla Harris. I'm so proud of her. Google her. You can find her on YouTube, her TED Talks. And if you listen to her, you will hear her Catholic school values in everything that she does, because she lives them to this day. And the money that you guys are helping raise today, even if it's so much as coming up here and bidding on some of these items, no matter what the cost, the tickets that you guys bought, you all could be helping shape the next leaders in the faith community. The impact and impression on the young lives you will touch will teach character and compassion and faith in the young people's abilities to feel like they can help change someone else's lives. So if you ever need an example of how small, what little things that you have to do to really impact a life, my life, although it's not as big as my classmates, is a perfect example. Each one, reach one, and teach one. And that's what I live by, because you don't know what small deed can really affect a young child's life. When I was growing up in Jacksonville and I was in the 6th grade, there was only one African American woman on television news. And my parents were both politicians. And one evening they had to go and be on this show called Putana. I remember it well, and the host was Tracy Gaffney. They didn't have a babysitter for me, so they took me to the studio. And I saw this woman with this little afro and a dashiki, and all these people, and the lights and the cameras, and her just kind of controlling what was going on, and just the interesting way she did her job. I thought, man, this is exactly what I want to do. And so when the taping was over, I went up to her and I said, thank you so much for letting me sit here. And she said, the next time you have a day off from school, I want you to come to the studio and shadow me for the whole day. So I went out on stories with her, and I absolutely loved it. I was always someone, I was a good student when it came to English and writing and reading. I devoured books. I loved books, and that was my passion. So fast forward to going off to college. My one grandmother, my mother's mother, was a nurse in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And she always said, before I die, I want a doctor in the family, and you're the first grandchild to go off to college, and I would love to be able to have a doctor in the family. So I love my grandmother, so what do? I go off to Florida State University, not thinking about journalism or writing or English or reading. I think about trying to be a doctor for my grandmother. Never mind the fact that I cannot stand the sight of blood, but I'm gonna do this for my grandmother. I am so grateful to Florida State University because they know how to weed out people like me real early. And so what they did, my freshman year, there was a required course that you had to take, and it was a lab, and it was a biology lab. This lab was on Friday from 6:30 to 9:30, when all the sororities and fraternities and my friends at FAMU were having parties, and I think I saw the inside of that classroom maybe once or twice. That was it. And so my grades weren't that good. It was the first time in my life I really wasn't making good grades, but I said, you know, I gotta stick with this. I gotta try to bring up my grades and do what I can do. But it wasn't my passion. And I felt like I was going to let my grandmother down, and so I had a decision to make. The love of my grandmom, the pride of my grandmom, weighed against the pull of my passion for journalism, and all that I needed to hear was my mother's loving advice and my father's guidance to say that as much as you love your grandmother and she loves you, she is on her journey. But it's time for you to follow your own, follow your heart. And I have had the pleasure of working in an industry that I absolutely love for 29 years now. Fueled, of course, by the joy of motherhood, because nothing compares to raising just awesome kids. And I'm so proud to be able to say now that I'm the mother of 5 with my stepchildren, because I love them as if I brought them into this world. So to the Campbell family, I am in awe of how you are making sure that the memory of your son lives on, and I thank you for that. It is a loss that my heart cannot even imagine, and I'm sure the pain will never end, but your dedication makes you angels right here on earth to so many other people's children to make sure that they have the best start in life. So I thank you all for inviting me. I thank you, Sister Elba, and I thank you all for taking the time to be here and to helping this family move forward and making a better place on earth for so many kids. Thank you so very much.
And we would like to present the Campbells, Walter and Eunice. This is for you, Toni. A token of our appreciation. And we got a few other goodies. Senator Roxanne. It reads, New York State citation, whereas a great state is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their community. The quality of service rendered by these exemplary individuals is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, embodiment of strength and courage, doing ordinary things extraordinary well, and whereas such outstanding service is a testament of exceptional devotion to meeting the needs of others, compassion in contributing to society, and vision to change lives and opportunities where growth and productivity can thrive, now therefore be it resolved that as a duly elected member of the State Senate of New York, recognize that in Toni Yates at the 13th Annual George K. Campbell Scholarship, we have an outstanding individual whose uncompromising service, outstanding commitment, and exceptional contributions are commendable of the respect of both the community and the great state of New York. On behalf of Senator Roxanne Persad, Senator 19th Senatorial District, dated today. Toni, this is our senator. And there's more.